Alberta has just done the unthinkable. After decades of frustration, of being ignored, sidelined, and treated like Canada's cash machine, the province has officially declared its intent to separate from Canada. This isn't a rumor. This isn't speculation. This is real, and it's happening right now. The announcement came swiftly, deliberate, calculated, and shocking to every Canadian watching from coast to coast. It's not just a policy statement. It's a political detonation. And its ripple effects are only beginning. Right now, 37% of Albertans openly support separation, and that number is climbing fast. This isn't a fringe movement anymore. It's mainstream. It's powerful. And it's terrifying to Ottawa. Why? Because this time, it's not just talk. It's a coordinated push. A movement backed by grassroots momentum, political discontent, and a population that simply had enough. Enough of being ignored. Enough of funding a system that doesn't serve them. Enough of Ottawa calling the shots while Albertans carry the burden. At the center of this uprising is the Alberta Prosperity Project, a rapidly growing organization with over 66,000 active members. And they're not just signing petitions online, they're organizing town halls, collecting signatures, and preparing the legal groundwork for a full-scale separation referendum. These aren't extremists. They're farmers, engineers, lawyers, business owners, ordinary Albertans who have simply lost faith in the Federation. And now, they're pushing for something once unthinkable. Independence. What pushed Alberta to this point? Look no further than Ottawa. Look no further than Prime Minister Mark Carney. A man many in Alberta see not as a leader, but as a symbol of everything that's gone wrong. A global banker, turned politician. A man parachuted into power without the backing of Western voters. A prime minister who speaks in financial jargon, while Alberta's oil rigs go quiet and farms face collapse. Albertans didn't elect him. And yet, his climate-first policies, his aggressive green agenda, and his unapologetic support for equalization have been hammering Alberta's economy into the ground. For Albertans, this isn't about partisanship anymore. It's about survival. The energy sector, once the heartbeat of Alberta, is now shackled by regulations that many believe were designed in Ottawa with zero understanding of what life in the prairies is really like. Carbon taxes. Pipeline cancellations. Land restrictions. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And now, Mark Carney's administration has proposed new emissions caps that industry leaders in Calgary warn could shut down entire oil fields within the next 5 years. That proposal alone sparked 3 nights of mass protests across Edmonton and Red Deer. Farmers drove tractors through downtown streets. Oil workers stood outside the legislature with signs reading, "We build this country, let us leave it." For the first time in modern Canadian history, a serious, structured exit campaign is unfolding within one of its richest provinces. But this movement isn't just about climate policy. At the core of Alberta's fury lies the equalization payment system, a financial mechanism that's supposed to ensure fairness between provinces, but which many Albertans now see as legalized theft. For years, Alberta has contributed billions more to Ottawa than it receives. Billions that fund services in other provinces, while Alberta deals with crumbling infrastructure and rural hospitals closing their doors. It's a one-way street. And Albertans are tired of paying the toll. Mark Carney's federal government has refused to reform the program, brushing aside calls from Edmonton and even mocking the idea of change in Parliament. One Alberta MLA recently called the current system, quote, economic colonization. And for many, that's exactly how it feels. Add to that the cultural disconnect, and you have the perfect storm. The West doesn't feel heard. Doesn't feel respected. And now, it doesn't feel Canadian. In fact, just last week, a leaked internal poll from a federal think tank revealed that over 52% of Albertans aged 18 to 34 would vote for separation if a referendum were held today. That's a majority of the province's future generation. And while Ottawa may be pretending to stay calm, behind closed doors, officials are panicking. Because this isn't just about Alberta leaving. If Alberta exits, the prairie dominoes begin to fall. Saskatchewan is already watching closely. There are whispers of coordinated action. Cross-border discussions between MLAs. Closed-door meetings. Strategic alliances. Some even believe a Western Canadian bloc is forming. Imagine that, 4 provinces, bound by geography, economy, and shared resentment, carving their own path. Not a theory. A potential reality if Ottawa continues to ignore the signs. So what happens next? The Alberta government is expected to table legislation that lays the foundation for a separation vote, similar to Quebec's model in the 1990s. There's already talk of creating a separate tax collection agency, an independent pension plan, and even a standalone immigration policy. The federal government has warned Alberta against such moves. But the Alberta Premier responded publicly last night, saying, "We don't need permission to be free." And that statement, 6 words, is now being printed on banners, t-shirts, and bumper stickers across the province. This is no longer political theater. This is a constitutional crisis in the making. And at the center of it all, a province that once helped build Canada, now ready to walk away from it entirely. And while the rest of Canada debates whether Alberta is bluffing or serious, one thing is certain: this declaration has shaken the foundations of Confederation. Across the prairies, the phrase, "Alberta First," is becoming more than a slogan, it's a rallying cry. Momentum is building. Lines are being drawn. And with every passing day, the possibility of Alberta forging its own path feels less like a dream and more like an imminent reality. The nation is holding its breath, because if Alberta truly follows through, the Canada we know may cease to exist. So what does Ottawa do now? Do they offer reforms? Do they fight back legally? Do they negotiate, or dismiss the threat as bluster? Whatever they decide, time is running out. Because Alberta's declaration has changed everything. And Canada may never be the same again.